So here we have question number 14 from the 2019 practice paper. So this question is involving, so we've got two circles here and then a tangent to both. Now for part A it says, so the circle C2, which is this circle over here, has centre 10, 0 and radius 3, and then write down the equation of C2. Now the general equation of a circle is x minus a squared plus y minus b squared equals r squared, where the centre is at a, b, and r is the radius. So in this case here, we've got an x coordinate of 10 and a y coordinate of 0 here. So the equation of our circle is going to be x minus 10 squared plus y minus 0, so just y squared, is equal to 3 squared, which is 9. So that's the equation of the circle C2. Now it says the line ABP is a tangent to C1 and also a tangent to C2. This is by considering similar triangles show that the coordinates of P are 15, 0. So if we go back up here, so we're looking for P here. And our two triangles, so we've got the first one here, which is from 10 to P to B, and then the larger triangle here, which is from 0 to P to A. Now, first of all, we know that this length here is 3, and this one here, so this circle is x squared plus y squared is 81, which means the radius of that circle is 9, which means that this length here is 9. Now, when we consider our two triangles then, well, we can see then that the larger triangle is 3 times as big. So in other words, our scale factor is 3. And we can use that in order to work out what P here is. Now we know that the distance from here to here is 10, but we don't know what the distance from 10 to P is. So we can call that x. Now what that means is that if this distance is x, then the distance 10 plus x is going to be 3 times as big. So in other words, 10 plus x is equal to 3 lots of x. And again, that's because the scale factor is 9 over 3, which is 3. And it means that this distance times 3 is equal to a larger distance overall. And again, maybe just to illustrate that at the side here, if this length is 3, then this length is x. And then for the much bigger triangle, this length is 9, and this length is 10 plus x. So 3 times 3 is 9, x times 3 is 10 plus x. Now, solving this equation, we get 2x is 10 and x is 5, which means that if we go back to our diagram, if x is 5, then this whole length is 15. So therefore the coordinates of P, so we've got 10 plus 5 is 15, so P is the coordinate 15, 0. Part C says a line through P has gradient m. Write down in terms of m the equation of this line. So we've got two approaches here we can use. We can either use y minus y1 equals m x minus x1, or we can use y equals mx plus c. Now, in terms of the one on the left here, well, it goes through P, which is the point 15, 0, and has gradient m. So this line here would be y is equal to m lots of x minus 15. We could leave it in that form, or we could write it as y equals mx minus 15m. And then the one on the right here, if we were going to do it that way, then we know that 0 is equal to 15m plus c, which means that c is equal to minus 15m, therefore y is equal to mx minus 15m. So either way you do it, you end up with the same result. Now we've got this line which has a gradient of m, cuts C1 into points. Now if we go back to our diagram, that means from P we could either have the line here, or there might be a line going this way that touches it this way. So there are two values of m that would give us, like one would give us this value here, and one would give us this value up here. The important thing to bear in mind, I guess, is that both of those lines are tangents. Now, it says here, show that the x-coordinates of these 2 points satisfy the equation given here. Now, we know that our two equations are x squared plus y squared equals 81, and then the other equation is y equals mx minus 15m, and where these 2 points are satisfied is when these two equations are equal to each other. So we're going to replace y in here. So that's going to give us x squared plus mx minus 15m squared, which is equal to 81, which is x squared plus now mx minus 15m squared. So we've got mx minus 15m, mx minus 15m. So we've got m squared x squared, take away 15m squared x, take away 15m squared x, plus 225m squared, which is starting to look a bit like what we've got up here, which simplifies to, so we've got m squared x squared minus 30m squared x plus 225m squared equals 81. And now, to make it look like the thing above here, so we could factorise the first bit, so we would get x squared and then 1 plus m squared, and then take away 30m squared x plus 225m squared minus 81 equals 0. Now it says, hence determine the coordinates of the point A. Now, in terms of this equation here, so this equation gives us the solution of where these two equations are equal. So in other words, where this circle and where this line meet, that equation gives us a solution. Now, dependent on the value of m, because a tangent meets a circle at one point, that means that that equation, depending what m is, should only have one solution. So if m is positive, it will give us one of the solutions. If m is negative, it will give us the other solution. But whatever value of m out of the two we put in, we should get just one single solution to that equation. Now, because this equation has only one solution, what that means is then, because it's a quadratic, it means that the discriminant is going to be equal to 0. So, just a reminder, the discriminants are b squared minus 4ac. We've got three different outcomes. If it's greater than 0, there's two distinct solutions. If it is equal to 0, then there is one solution or two repeated solutions. And if b squared minus 4ac is less than 0, then there are no solutions. So in this case, because it's a tangent meeting a circle, it means there's one solution. So we're going to be using b squared minus 4ac equals 0. Now, what that means here then is that b squared, so we've got minus 30m squared, which is going to be squared, take away 4ac, so 4 lots of 1 plus m squared times 225m squared minus 81 is going to be equal to 0. Now, the first thing we've got here is minus 30m squared. So minus 30 squared is 900, and then m squared is m to the 4. And from that, we're going to take away 4 lots of, and then if we expand these, we've got 225m squared minus 81 plus 225m to the 4 minus 81m squared, and that's equal to 0 still. Now at this point, probably the easiest approach is just to divide by 4. I mean, we could multiply through by 4 or divide by 4. But if we divide both of these terms by 4, we get 225 m to the 4, and then minus all of these things. So minus 225m squared plus 81 minus 225m to the 4 plus 81m squared, and that is equal to 0. Now, we've got 225m to the 4 here, and they cancel. So we're just left with these bits here. So we've got 81, and then we're going to minus 225, but plus 81, which is going to make it 144 m squared, which is equal to 0. Which is going to give us then, so add the 144, so 81 is 144m squared, which means that m squared is going to be 81 over 144, which is 9 over 16. Now, in this case, we could work out what m is by square rooting, which would be 3/4, or minus 3/4, which if we go back to this here, we can see that it's negative gradient, which would be minus 3/4. However, everything in that original equation has m squared in it, so we're going to be squaring it anyway, so we may as well use the 9 over 16. Now, substituting that in, so I'm running out of a little bit of space here, so we've got x squared times 1 plus 9 over 16. Take away 30 lots of 9 over 16 x plus 225 lots of 9 over 16 minus 81 is equal to 0. Then what that gives us is we've got 25 over 16 x squared, take away, so 30 lots of 9 is 270 over 16x, and then we've got a combination here of 2, so I just have to work that out quickly. 7 to 9 over 16, and that's going to equal to 0. And then we could multiply everything through by 16 if we wanted, to make it 25x squared minus 270x plus 729 is equal to 0. And then we could use the quadratic formula on this, which will only give us one solution, which is 27 over 5, or 5.4 if you prefer that. And then if we put that into the y equals mx minus 15m, or into the circle, we get y is equal to 36 over 5.